Okay, so we're going to get back to working on this stuff. Last video we went ahead and converted the warhead station. For this one we're going to finish off the warhead station, which only needs to do some rendering code, and then we're going to dive into starting on and potentially finishing the missile crafting station. So go ahead and work on that. So I'm going to start this up. Now I went ahead and started on the north one here. What I did is I took the offset from the tile and I've moved it down to each one of these, so we're going to do one of these at a time. I think the north is done. It's going to be the rest of the ones we'll probably have to work on and adjust the rotations on them and get them kind of going. This should only take a few minutes to do. It all depends on how quickly Minecraft will restart each time we want to change this. Now eventually, as I've noted before, I'm going to get a system that will let us reload this, but the problem at the moment is I've got to come up with a way to do that procedurally where I don't have to manually implement the config path of every single, rather the source path of every single one of these. Hopefully. I'll get that working here eventually. Quite a few things I want to do here. The interesting thing about working on that though is I got to make a slightly different version for the runtime, so the one that you guys will actually be using if you play the mod. And then there'll be a version for the development one, which will have that special handling to load from the source folders. Because the runtime one can only work on the external files, so therefore I don't have to do anything with that. It's going to be the dev mode version that's going to be tricky. I think I can figure it out though. There's got to be some way to handle it. If I have to manually enter every path, oh well, we'll work around it. Okay, so this is the tile. This is supposed to be the north one, but I think the south one we broke. Okay, yeah. That's right. When we go to place something, it actually is going to place in the opposite direction. So if we place facing north, it actually placed facing south. So the north tile is actually good. So if we come over here, we're just going to place each one of these on the edge here. And we're going to quickly figure out which one we need. So this is the south one where we're right here. And this one is going to need to be moved in the negative X direction. Interestingly, that's the same direction on this one. Woo. So go ahead and do that. You know what? I have a theory. We'll go ahead and just we'll just do negatives on both of these as well, but we'll do it on the Z because I believe that's what each one of these needs. Maybe. Negative Z. Negative, yeah. Negative Z in both directions. Interestingly enough. Are the tools facing the right direction each one of these? Yeah. Yeah, they are. Cool. At least Morn's consistent about his stuff. So the rotation, the reason I was saying that at least, because I've gotten models from a lot of people, and there's no consistency on which direction is north. And I usually tell them, like, hey, it should be the 0 degree is what it should be, so everything should face the 0 degree. But that's different for everybody's workspace, unfortunately. I'm gonna probably start making template files here at some point, and I'll give those to every artist who works to make models for me, and be like, here's an exact template of what a block looks like, what direction is north, here's a player, and I'll probably put like a couple extra things in the frame with it, so that way they can load a template up and they'll get an actual to-scale representation of the common objects in Minecraft. And that way they can base all of their models off of the scale equivalency. Because we scale everything off the block and off the player. Most things are actually scaled off the block primarily. It's only the weapons and items that are scaled off the players. Because after all, the scale is slightly different depending on what you're doing, of course. If you're always making a tile, it's always scaled off the block. Because there's no point in scaling something off the player if it's going to be placed as a 1x1 anyways. Especially when you consider the fact that Minecraft now has 2-player models in the newer versions, so that way scaling off them is not always perfect. I don't know what we're going to do for the highly complicated armor down the road if that actually becomes the case. We'll probably ignore the smaller scale and just make the armor all the same, because, I mean, in real life, that's how it kind of works anyways. If you buy a set of armor that's like an extra large or something, it's going to be an extra large no matter who wears it. It's only in video games you see armor change size to fit the wearer. I might reflect that. That'd be cool little features that you would actually maybe have to craft armor for different body types. Okay. Logic. um, this is a rotation issue. Okay, see how that went over there when I placed it? So what has happened is we're not offsetting in the same direction as we think we are. These two are inverted. And seeing as these are all the same, I'm going to copy these all back up to the tile here because they all match. And we're going to get rid of all the offsets because they're all identical. What's happening is the rotation is running before the translation, even though I think the translation should run before the rotation, but it's one of those little dumb things about working with models in raw OpenGL is there's no special handling for this. If you went and did this in like some engine or something, the engine would handle your stupidity, and it would fix all your mistakes for you. Well, not all of your mistakes, but it would fix a majority of them. Like if I loaded in a model that was not offset properly, I can go in the engine and I could just drag that model so it's centered. I do this in Unity actually. Do I actually still have Unity? Oh. Could show this real quick. It has been forever since I've loaded this up. Yeah, the 100 Tank was a game we were planning on working on, which was going to be an arcade style. It was originally going to be a Martian combat game, and they were like, you know what, we don't have a storyline for this. So now I'm like, I got this pretty much here. But if we went to the scene here, come on, there we go. So if we click this object here, it's actually comprised of 7 different objects that are not perfectly centered correctly. So each of these is a sub-object. The barrels are a sub-object. The body's a sub-object. And let me try to drag. Why is... There we go. Grab that. This is still set for my old monitor size. So if we went to this, you got the right mount, you got the cannon, and you got a firing piece. So the cool thing about Unity, so something I'm trying to mirror in Minecraft right now, is you got a hierarchy design with all this. So I got my right cannon, I've got my left cannon. These have been centered, so the models in these have actually been set up to fix on the correct size. They've got rotation adjustments, they've got positioning adjustments. See how the position is not perfect, and if you adjust it, it actually changes where that's at. Where's the model piece for this? Okay, here's the first model piece. So if we go into here, you can see the scale has been adjusted on a couple of these pieces. And this is the cool thing about engines is that you can come in here and you can fix broken parts about the scales and models and everything and positioning issues that you get. So if you have a model that's not perfectly centered, you can just attach it to an empty node, center it onto that empty node, which is what I've done here, and then you got your position correctly so that way it'll rotate. So if I actually change the rotation here, it'll rotate according to that center point. And if actually, let me show that again real quick so I can just confirm. Yeah, so you see as it's rotating on the corner here, this model piece itself, its center point's actually in the middle. Because surprisingly, Grogger actually pays attention when I tell him, give me all of my models with a center point. He understands how to do that. So let's close that, and that's been a nice little side lesson here. I plan to get back on working on that game eventually. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing it in the Unity engine because there is a bit of memory overhead that I'm not comfortable with. Okay, all fixed. All rotated. All done. So that's nice. I think people will enjoy the fact that the tools now rotate on that. And let's we gotta fix the item render. Where's the inventory here? I think I just get rid of that maybe. Scale needs to go up a bit. We won't be able to see that until after we reload though. But those are done, and the next thing we want to work on is not necessarily this tile, because that one I'm actually going to delete as I mentioned before. Let's get rid of these. I got to fix the particle effects on these. Right now I'll leave it because, oh well. this is what we're going to be working on next. Now this guy is going to be a little bit complicated because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you can wrap this. Nope, this one's not. That does not have that problem. Sweet. So let's go ahead and place this each on the side. Now the problem with this is that it does have rotation to it, but it's going to be hard to gauge what that rotation is. Actually, no, it's not. There's actually a little collar here. By the way, if you weren't paying attention, if I go grab this little guy, these use the same model. It doesn't look like it. They actually surprisingly are the same. There's just a slight difference between each one. Okay, so we'll go ahead and leave those there, and we'll start the conversion. So I'm just going to copy the entire warhead script here, and we'll make a missile. We'll have to redo everything in here, of course, but luckily we won't have to mess with too much. Because the cool thing is, the small missile station, or auto station here, because there's an actual missile station, then there's an auto station. They use the same code. Let me actually, hold on. Oh, snap. That's going to be problematic. How much code do I need out of this? Okay, so the auto station extends the missile station base, which then has a lot of extra code in here. Let me take a gander at this real quick and see which parts of this I may actually need. And I don't think I need any of this. So I don't know why this extends what it extends. This does extend an abstract workstation. On tile added, multi-block. Okay, it's just multi-block code. A lot of that code just disappears because you don't need it anymore after a while. So this would be tile machine node. This would be external inventory. I don't know why you just use inventory when you could just actually surprisingly do that. Okay, don't need that. Need to go ahead and just implement the long ticks. For those of you who haven't been watching the last videos, we actually implement ticks into the host object. That way the nodes don't have to track ticks themselves. That also lets us do unit testing better too. Okay. A lot of this is just inventory update code, surprisingly, so we don't have too much worry about this. There is a bit of packet code we still have to update, which is the same packet code we updated on the last tile. So it's nothing special. Same GUI update problem. We still got to do the GUI update. I almost forgot about that on the last tile. We'll hit up both these tiles here later, because we may just actually make a prefab for these, because these literally share the same code. So there may be a node prefab that these both extend now, and they may recycle most of the code. So if we go ahead and do load on here, because if you notice, like, it's almost identical from each one of them. Oh, that's that whatever Twitter thing's going around. There's like a nice animated comic I saw quite a while ago, and it's just now circulating around Twitter and Imgur and everything else. I should have tweeted it out when I found it the first time. I could have been the first person to start that tweet chain. A lot of nice comics like that float around the internet. Okay, I still don't know why this exists. Why we got that super update GUI. There is a reason behind it, probably. Oh, my phone vibrated. Oh, yep, same thing. A lot of people are just retweeting that. Okay, so this is called Missile Station. So we go in here and we just put Missile Station in there. I didn't check the localizations, but I think they were correct. Our material is iron. Everything else is identical, so we can just we can't get rid of that, but we can do that real quick and change this out. I believe what was Worktable is what we're using for the ID, and this is Worktable missile, and this will be ICBM.domain. That looks good. Then we just got to do this, which is, I believe we just need to do get inventory, and then do that. And we'll just go through and manually do this, so I don't have to worry about copy and paste failures. I might make a helper for this later, so you don't have to call get inventory every time. You can just call set inventory. But I'm kind of avoiding writing code like that, because the whole reason why we have a lot of this stuff is so we can avoid writing a lot of duplicate code over and over again. We need to do our get direction, and we actually don't need any of this code. Get rid of that. Okay, and then we just need to convert the recipe. This will be pretty fast. And so the recipe looks like it's using the exact same parts, and hopefully these are not exactly the same recipes either. Be kind of, oh, actually no they're not, because this one uses Worktable, and I think that one uses Warhead. They're very similar recipes though. Actually, let's paste that next to that. They're identical almost. So that's a workstation. So where are you used? Client proxy, of course. So this would be small missile workstation. Wow, that's horribly named. The irony is I'm basically making fun of myself when I say that. But that shows that I'm constantly improving my skills here. As I'll look at code I only wrote months ago, because I literally wrote the missile crafting stations only back here. Actually, I think it's actually almost been a year. But then even looking at that, I see that those needed massive improvements. Plate, rods, okay, let's make sure they're the same. Yeah, those look identical. Cool. So we can get rid of this now. Now we just got to do the render code. Now here's where the fun part comes in, because I think there's quite a bit of handling here. We need to copy all these over to the other class. So this has to go over there. None of this stuff needs to go over there though, so we can get rid of all that. And we just got to come in here and start, well, let's grab this first and get rid of that. And then come over here. Cool. I believe we got to do the server proxy as well. Yeah, we're starting to get this list down, so we've only got a couple objects left that are doing that server client thing. Looking really nice now. So let's go ahead and get this in here. This is a disorganized mess, to be honest. Okay, so we want to grab this piece, delete that entire part, and then we want to go find the packet system. Basically, these are identical packets to each other. I may make a setting system to deal with this, because the thing is, we're just loading a whole bunch of settings here. That's what we're doing, and this could easily be handled via a prefab or something. That way, we're not constantly trying to reinvent the wheel every time we're doing something, which is what's going on half the time. Okay. Okay, we got read description packet system going on here. Let's go find write description packet and paste this below, because I have a feeling I gotta delete a few parts here. Or even worse, I gotta cache some variables. Yeah. We gotta cache some local variables. Okay, so we're saving our inventory, and then we're sending it to the client. Yeah, this is a whole, like a lazy init system that's going on. So we need to do private. We're gonna need to write a missile render for this. Good thing is we can do the most of it via the JSON system, but then we're gonna have to do a listener for the rest of it. So this will be iMissile, I believe. This will be completed missile, and then there needs to be another one which is iMissile started missile. The reason there's two of these is technically the system is designed to have two missiles on it at one time. That's the reason you see the missile off on one side, but it works a little too fast for it to complete and catch up. Let's change this real quick. And we have that same weird thing going on here, which I'm not going to fix all the way. So this would be tile.getHost.getPacket for data. We just have to make sure we go up to the packet handler and fix this thing, which would be player.openGUI icbm.instance buff.read int world xi yi ci. There we go, that'll fix that opening, closing. The rest of it should already work. Okay, we're good. Now we just got to implement our rotation code, because this actually has a rotation code. Now the problem with the rotation code is I actually don't know how this was handled previously, so our rotation may not save properly, which is fine, I guess. Good direction. Okay, you want... Okay, this is the render code, so we don't need to worry about you. Where is the container freaking out? Oh, that's why the container's freaking out. Inventory.getInventory. Place all. Here we go. That's fixed. So we just got to convert the render code over. This is the part that will have to be a listener, which is going to be a little tricky. It does look like there's a push-pop system here, so this just needs to be converted to a listener. So we'll just make a listener for this. Actually, could we use the missile render system? So there's already one for the launchers that implements how the missiles render. Let me go see if I can find it real quick. So this goes, are you a missile container, then gets the missile to run. Okay, we can't use that, but we can copy it though. Tile missile render, so this would be tile SM auto render listener. Okay, so we don't need render offset, we don't need these two, so those are gone. We do need tile render, and we do need to rename this. This would be... what is it? Like SM... Tile SM Auto. To be honest, there would actually be an event system that would be used with this to properly register this, but we're going to do it with the current system in place so we don't have to do anything extra. What are we looking at for our offsets here? We just copy that whole piece. Copy this whole piece. And what we want to do is we go, okay, if tile is instance of tile SM auto crafter, or no, shoot, let's control Z a couple times here. Let's grab this piece. Actually, we want to replace that part. Okay, so we have a node. So we go if node is instance of I. Why is my phone going off so much? See what that is. Just somebody liking a couple tweets. Okay, I think it's a bot doing it too. Happens. So this would be tile SM autocraft. Okay, and then we want to just kind of more or less grab this node here and just kind of cast it. Now the reality of it is that the tile that's passed in here will always be the same tile, so we don't have to worry about it, but we do the check anyways because it takes like nanoseconds to do, and it causes no harm to your render time. And the fact is, if you didn't check it, the likelihood is you could actually crash the game. By the way, for ZMaster said protected doesn't allow you to access outside the class file. You can. I don't like to rub that in his face though, because it probably pisses him off. Let's see. So what is our pause location? Pretty much that, which is just going to be... Can I get a... Is there a version of this that I don't have to pass pause in? That's the only spot pause is used. Okay, so we're going to make another version of this that does not require pause. That way I can save like a meaty minor amount of whatever. So it'd be double XX, double YY, double CZ. Oh, I see. How unfortunate. The render missile pause.xf, pause.yf, pause.cf, missile, which is misspelled, connected blocks and direction. There we go. That way I can literally just pass in XX, YY, ZD. Of course I'm going to have to cast each one of them, because for whatever reason Java doesn't have an auto conversion between these two, even though the loss of precision is not that great. You could just let the programmer, and just put like an underline of like, hey, the conversion's not very good, and then just program and go, I don't care, suppress warning. This should work though. These unfortunately do render in the same spot, but the plan is to have the completed missile go forward onto the track, and then the started missile start building behind it. Because the idea is you can build two missiles on the thing, and then it's meant to be a conveyor type system. So eventually the small autocrafters will act as a conveyor belt, and they'll push missiles down a assembly line. That way, each of the things you only have to be crafting one object at a time. So for this... Workstation texture, okay, so we need a model. Wow, we're using the cart 1x3 model? Well, we legitimately are using the cart model. That is hilarious when you think about it. That means I need to... Let's make a package here. That real quick. We do need to add another texture though. This will be texture 2. This will be a model since it's shared between multiple objects. And let's go back to wherever we were at. Okay, that listener's done. We don't need that. Okay, here we are. So there's our cart, which is the model object. So content, assets, here we go. Just coming down here to grab the template real quick so I can do the model and then close that file. Okay, so this will be ICB-VM. What is the name of this? Let's close that file. So the cart 3x1. Or did I just grab the 3x3? Yep, grabbed the wrong one. To be honest, these models need to be recreated. This one right here is good. These two need a little bit more work. The 1x1 is actually not too bad, but the 3x3 is not quite where I need it to be, which is not horrible, but So this will be 3x1. 3x1 cart. Okay. So we just need to implement that as our render inside of our object here. and that'll go down to the base here. And we'll just go ahead and put as both of these as the same object, and we'll just make the texture ID the same. So get rid of that there. Now I just need to get the texture, which I believe we are using a pseudo texture right now for this render. Because yeah, we're using the workstation texture. So unfortunately, I don't have textures for everything. I don't have models for everything yet, so we're recycling a lot of stuff just to get things out the door. It's really, really unfortunate, but it's kind of how you have to do things sometimes. So we'll just actually, yeah, we'll just use that as is, because then that way I can go ahead and use it for the workstation later. So that'd be our texture ID, and then way we can actually add another texture later for this. Though it looks fine actually, when you think about it. I don't think any of these are going to be correct, especially this stuff down here. So let's go take a look at this. So the offset here of the +5 on each of those should be taken care of for us. We then rotate by 90 degrees for the default. I want to say the rotations may actually be correct already, because I don't know why this is handled this way, but we're rotating 90 degrees, and then for east we're counter rotating back. For west we're adding 90, and then we're adding 180 to that. So this is actually +90, this is 0, actually no, this is 0, this is 180, this is actually -90 to give me the same results, I think. So that means north is 90 degrees. So if we come over here, north is 100, so this check should be 90. And then our south is going to be 180, or no, it's going to be -90. And then our east is 0 if we look at this again, because it'll be 90 minus 90, which will give us 0. And then our west is 180. So that should init by default. We may just have to translate it a few times, especially for a lot of the held items probably need to be rehandled. Yeah, especially since you're looking at the scale's been dropped and the rotation is all over the place. Yeah, we'll redo that because I don't think this was actually correct to start with. But we'll go ahead and get rid of that. And then we're going to hit build, make project, and we need to do the creative tab. Which is the only spot I think it popped up as with an error. Okay, we come over here, and did we stick our content ID in here? Yes, this is our content ID, Missile Auto Station. Okay, and then we need to make sure we redo, because we haven't finished doing this stuff either. So Missile Auto Station, Missile Auto Station. We still have to add the tags to it so it'll work. So this will be tile wrapped, and we'll just call it Missile Station. Actually, you know what? This actually needs to be. So we may end up still keeping the Missile Station around for a little bit of time. So this is SM Auto Station. Do that, put that there. So that'll take care of all this for us, and we need to do the recipe real quick. But first we want to make sure we get this set up. So it'd be tile wrapped, class name, that. This will be at tile, this will be at external inventory wrapped. To be honest, you can do this with hoppers, I think. I think it'll work. I don't know. It may be blocked, but theoretically. So that looks good. Now we just need to finish up by fixing the recipe down here. Not that spot, this spot. Still need to go test the recipes. I'll probably go do that here later, get a live copy and just go through with NEI and check every last recipe and make sure it's correct. But this should build. Oh, we forgot a listener. Oh well, I'll add it and you'll just have to know that it's just not going to render. So what was the name of that listener again? Oh, that's the wrong file. That's the auto-generated file, by the way, which is missing the external inventory for some reason. Oh, you know why? Because I need that. That's probably the same thing that's going to break the warhead station, because it needs those at the end to detect properly. Let's see, what else do we want to do here? Okay, so we need this piece. We didn't register the listener, so it wouldn't work anyways. But we can do that real quick. So that'd be ICBM. Actually, that'd be on the client proxy. This would be tile SM auto. There we go. That'll fix next time we reload. And right now we're just going to make sure that the tiles don't disappear when we load them in, so that makes sure their IDs are correct. And their IDs are not correct because for some reason it had ISBM SM auto in front of it. So this is not its actual name for some reason. That, you know what, that was its name and we got the ID wrong. Okay. So this was ICBM SM auto. So I guess we get a reload anyways because we got the ID wrong. Drink myself some Mountain Dew there. Let's see. That guy just spams my email. Let's see what his email is for today. And see the shitty YMail app. Oh yeah, the YMail app that doesn't like to load emails. You guys, people wonder why this company is going down the drain. It's because their stuff is so horrible. Okay, well yeah, they want a senior. Actually not too bad. If when you consider the back senior, you need to have that many years of experience anyways. But the terms are so generic. It's like you need to have years in Java or Java, which is Java 2 Enterprise Edition. Yeah. Luckily, I'm actually starting to get some of this experience. They repeat the same thing basically, except they say application server instead of having midware. Yep. It's like, we respect your online privacy. It's like, well, I don't respect yours. Your number just got shared with the internet. I feel bad for that though. It's pretty much the same template I've been sent repeatedly from that guy. It's the same pretty much experience with just a couple of the numbers changed around. It's like, here, with entry-level experience, we require 5 years of experience instead of 8. And I'm like, entry-level, 5 years? Supposedly you can report these people to the Better Business Bureau, but they don't do anything about it. Because entry-level is literally meant to be 0 years of experience. You're not even, to be honest, entry-level you can get away without even having a degree unless it's some kind of like medical field or something. It's how it's supposed to work, but it doesn't work that way. Okay, so our rotation isn't being set up correctly, and that's because our rotation is probably returning null. Yeah, we didn't do our rotation. If we right-click, unexpected error while opening issue, or thing, we forgot to do the multi-block on this, and we can't open them up. Pick block is working, actually. And we're going to crash. Okay, we're missing quite a bit of detail here. Null point exception, get subblocks from item. Somehow the block went null? Yeah, the block got passed in as null. Oh, you know what? That's because the, where's my creative tab? It's because we wrong value here. Bit more work to do. Not a clean conversion like our last one was. That'll fix the creative tab crashing. Our render, yeah, our render is not correct, which really weird when you consider the fact that that actually rendered correctly, even though this was not even close to being that. Laugh a little bit, I guess. Probably because it actually registered the tile render. That's probably why it was still rendering correctly, even though the content ID didn't match up. But without the content ID, all the item stuff won't render. Okay, so now we need to make sure we do the rotation code here. We got our thing here, and we need to do multi-block code. Okay, so for the multi-block code, it has to be rotation based, so we're going to go down to standard silo, or standard launcher, actually. Let's close all this, because we don't need to go into it. Actually, I do need to go back into that. I need to grab the auto crafter. So, need to, this part. I need to actually adjust the rotation code in here, which we'll go grab from the small silo like we normally do. So we want this part, which is how we're going to handle our rotation. Right down here. And then we just got to get the cache value, which is right here. Keep in mind these are cached values, so this means that they're not actually saved between loops. They're based off the metadata. So we get our metadata and we get our opposite. To be honest, we need to actually create a placement handler for this, so this places a little better. Because you want it to place pointing left or right, not pointing towards you. But we'll do that later. That's not too big of a deal right now. I don't think I need to adjust any other code in here, so we'll leave it open because I probably still do. But I need to go find the multi-block code. So this will be part of the standard launcher. And the reason we're going to go with the standard launcher is it actually has handling for rotation. And it actually has this part, which is what we want. Yep. Yeah, we want to do rotation, and we want to make sure it builds on first tick. And then our layout will be our ID right now, which is how we're going to handle it, because it's unique to just our machine. Actually, it's not really unique to just our machine, but it might as well be. And then we're just going to copy the top part of one of these, because we're just going to have to redo it anyways. This will be down here at the bottom. Okay, so need that part, and I think you just need that to finish it off. Okay, so we don't need bounds because we don't have any special data for this. But this is actually kind of correct. So this needs to be plus and minus on the north, I believe. And then we just kind of need to duplicate this 4 times. So here is our south. Our south and north are going to actually be identical. But there's no easy way to handle that, so I can't just go, okay, use the same file, so we're actually just going to go ahead and make more than one real quick. Then we'll do east. East is going to be pretty much, actually, you know what, these are wrong. This needs to be in the Z category. Okay, we got that. This one does need to be the X. So -1, and we're going to copy this and paste it back down to do our west. And that should work. We do need to replace the name standard launcher. I forgot to do that before we copied and pasted it. So we'll come back down here, and we'll just select all of them. Hit replace. There we go. And this should do the trick. So we should get these, and that should do our multi-block structure. And we'll come up with a way to make this reusable, because anything we have that will be 3 blocks wide will use the same multi-block code. So what we'll do is we'll start caching that. but we got to figure out some way to do the rotation for it. What I probably need to do is come up with a way to load the multi-blocks with pseudonames. So instead of directly accessing a name, you could go, okay, I'm not trying to load a new multi-block structure. What I'm trying to do is rename it real quick so that way we can recycle that multi-block under a different name, which could be important depending on how you want to do things. Multi-layered multi-blocks might be a thing here later too, so you can go, okay, my base core is a 3x3, but you don't want to repeat that structure over and over again. But then we have like one block coming out of the face on whatever facing direction it has. So that'd be pretty useful to do a layered multi-block like that. So you would have a parent multi-block, which actually, you know what, parent is how we'll do it. So go, okay, I want a new multi-block, and here's my parent multi-block, and it'll inherit all the parents' locations. So what I'll do is I'll just merge the two arrays together real quick, or something like that. We'll figure it out. Because it could be as simple as you want a parent, and then you want to replace all the sub-objects with a different ID. So say, for example, I had that 3x3 tile, but it was placing normal multi-block nodes, but then I wanted, okay, I want each of the corners at the bottom to now be power nodes, and I want each of the middles on the bottom to now be fluid nodes. That way you can accept fluids in the middle, and you can accept power on the edge corners. Various other things like that. There's a lot of work that has to be done on that one. So I want to do a lot of multi-block machines. I mean, so many. I've wanted to do tons for a long time. Assembly line, originally, the original design for it, back when I made it in 1.2.5 Minecraft, called for large multi-block machines, some of them like 20 blocks long. Okay, we're not rendering whatsoever now. Lol. I don't know what caused that. Do we get our multi-blocks correct at least? No. Nope. We'll break you real quick. Okay, it's not placing, which is telling me it's not getting the multi-block code correct. I don't see any Y modulation on here, so that's not the problem. So we got our multi-block, we got in our RID, which is ICBM, ICBM, SM auto. ICBM, ICBM, SM auto, east, north, okay. Rotation code should be working. Good direction, cool. That might actually be the problem. Because I don't know if the placement code knows how to place with rotation. Yeah, I think that's the issue. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this one's duplicated. That would cause a problem. We getting any errors in the chat? Structure map is empty. Okay, so it's not returning my structure map. So that means our multi-block code didn't load properly. This looks fine. And we are an instance of... Oh, you know what we're not? We forgot something. This action needs to be implement another thing here. So I multi-block wrapped. That is important. And then let's take a look at our render code and see why maybe our render code failed. Content IDs look good. These both... Oh yeah, here's our missing content ID right there. This is the reason why that was working. It was finding the correct IDs. Yeah, that'll work. We need to do a test here because this is actually pretty important to make sure that that's loading correctly. You know, actually, I don't think Forge really cares if it loads the tile entity with the correct ID. I don't think so, at least. We may want to look at registering with alternative names underneath the tile entity thing, because this is our primary ID which we're using, but Forge does allow you to register alternative IDs. A lot of the tiles that I actually do register come with like 2 alternative IDs for them automatically. I thought it was a system originally designed to, if your ID was taken, register with this ID instead. But that's actually not what it's for. So we'll have to handle that. I think right now how the system is designed, it does register with the same ID the block does. So that should work, or it does like tile underscore or something. we'll take a look. We'll make a live version because it is important that this doesn't fail, because somebody will lose like a missile on a couple crafting items if this doesn't load properly. And then they'll come and bitch at me like, oh, my stuff failed to load. I'm like, well, I can't do anything about it. Your save's now borked. Go talk to your admin about giving your items back. So to avoid that situation, you want to make sure you actually test for that situation in the first place. But we're getting there. Oh, there was a error MBT waitlist file. No, extra utilities. What? The thing is, I don't have extra utilities even installed. So that's a tinker's problem, I guess. Okay. Still can't place it, and it'll tell us why we can't place. Actually, we're getting no errors. Okay, so we want to go check the placement handler. It's rendering at least somewhat correct in the inventory. We just got to drop the scale down. Let's go take a look at that real quick. So I believe 0.7 is what they were using. And that would sort of work. I think we need to do some rotation, so there's some rotation that needs to be handled for that to get that to fit. Let's make sure it's set up in here. Yeah, it's in here. Oh, yeah, that needs to be fixed too. Quite a bit of rotation handling needs to still be done with these because the JSON system isn't perfect on model handling. It does work really well with items and blocks, but that's because Minecraft's not too complicated on that one. But there is no perfect handling for simplistic or for models because they're not simplistic. I think his stuff is handled correctly now, so now it's just the multi-block is not working. And I think it's because the multi-block can't determine what direction I'm trying to place it. I'm trying to think of how to do this precisely. The only thing we really can do is go look at the multi-block listener. So we go framework, multi-block listeners, and there should be a placement check. Can place that. Multi-block player can build. It's not going to get the rotation. Shoot. Okay, so we get the layout of the multi-block, and how that exactly works is we try to get the tile at the location, which there isn't going to be no tile because, well, yeah, we're trying to do placement check. Okay, so this is going to be called at X, Y, and Z. Complicated this is, because when we go to call cam place, we're not given any rotation at all. So this is called by an item. It's in the item block classes where this is handled. So there's an interaction handler, which is not what I want. I actually don't want any of this. Control Alt 7. You aren't very helpful. Yes. Control Alt F7. There we go. So item door is an example of this. So what it goes can edit, then it goes can place. So if we actually override the item code, which is I think is the best option here, we can then get the entity who is currently trying to place our item, and then do it that way. I think I'm going to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and edit how this call hierarchy works. So we're going to hit save and exit. We're going to make a new version of this method here that has the entity in it. So we're going to go can place block at, and we go entity living. Oh no, we just want to go entity because this I can reuse this for other things. So we go entity. This will now be an overrided method, and then we'll make a version out here that has entity in it. And then what we're going to do is going to go and create method can place at, and we do placement listener. And then we want to go default, and then we want to return true. Actually, we want to return can place. There we go. Actually, we want to do the exact. Is there not an item block for this? There is an item block for this, I know for sure. It's just, I think it's named really weird. Oh, yeah, item block based. It's exactly what I'm trying to import, but it doesn't seem to understand what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is going to be dumb. This is going to be com.builtbroken.mc framework dot block. Still can't find it. So com.builtBrokenMC framework, whatever. We'll go here. We'll copy this. And we'll come back to wherever we were at. Oh, you know what reason I can't access it? Because it doesn't actually exist in the same hierarchy system. It's the correct location, just it will never find it. Because it doesn't know where it's at. Because the API is separated from the main layer for obvious reasons. Okay, so we got this set up. And what we'll do is we'll have this call can place with the normal location. So we'll call this from our item, and then it'll loop back into here. And we'll do called by. Now this one we can do the @link code in. Oh, not block base, item block base to supply more data than the default placement code. Okay, then we go to our item block base, and we have to go override some data. So we want to override not this here, this piece of monsterish code. That's just going to be a couple seconds of me renaming things before we even can get started. That way I can read the code without having to think about it for a couple seconds. Now, it's always a player that calls this, but the reality of it is it could actually be an Enderman that would actually place the block. There is a separate method for that. Unfortunately, it does not feed through the placement code properly, so there's a reason why Enderman can only place certain types of blocks. Mojang never went through and made it where this isn't just a player that's getting passed in here. Hopefully they get around to doing that eventually, because it would be really nice to just allow anything to call this, because your on placement code is really useful for being able to do just a little bit about everything. So this is what X hits. We'll have to come back through here later and do some rotation code with this here, because that would be like the best way to do it. But right now, the only thing we want to do is we want to check. So here's our can player edit. Here's can entity place on side. That's a world, man. That's a world check, really. is one ugly method. The check's not even in here, I don't think. Is it done in here? This is our actual placement code with what's done here. But that's a client side check. Okay, let's re-examine this check here. So we get our block, we get our collision box. We check our material is replaceable, can replace. There is no can place check here. I'm confused why there's no can place check here. Huh? Because this is our placement code. So you go can player edit, which is just capabilities allows editing and stuff. That just kind of allows you to play in adventure mode. But we're missing something. Because like right here should be a can player check, and it doesn't make any sense. Returns true if the given unit can place on the side of the block, which okay. So we know our object's a block base, so we don't have to do any. Actually, no, we're going to make a method for this because it'll save myself a lot of brain power. Public block base get block base, and then we just got to return on this thing here. Return can get rid of that part of it. Do that. And get block base. And then we want to come down here. We go get block base dot can place, and then we'll do player, and then XY whatever. We forgot the world. So what we're going to do is we just want to do a simple check that just goes okay, return false. Because that's kind of the only thing I can think of because of the fact that this is a little skewed and is going to have to be handled a little better. There's something strange about it. I feel like that something got changed at some point in time because I know some of my other blocks which do check for placement, they don't call this method. They actually call can place on at location and stuff like that. And yeah, it's weird because you would think you would check to see if you can place the block. Maybe the set block does it? No? I honestly feel like there's code that's missing. Because down here, this is the same thing that's getting called. And you sit here and you look at this, and you get the block at the location. You just check the collision box. There's some no-clip capabilities. It's strange that that method's not being used at all. Maybe it's being used in a higher-up method set, but we'll go ahead and implement it here. Well, then where is... Because the strange thing about this is that this is working. This is getting called by something, and it's actually causing it to stop and fail to place. So I'm going to do Control Alt F7. We want to see where this is coming from. Can block be placed on side? Okay, so that's being called from something. Control Alt F7. So you got an item skull that calls it. We're back to the thing here. There's a can replace check. Maybe that is what's calling this hierarchy chain. So we want to F7. I am pressing Control Alt F7. Why aren't you working? Yes, Control Alt F7. There we go. That is the check. Okay, so there it is. It's just been restructured in a very weird way. So we want to copy this. We bring this to our block base here. So there is actually some code that has been there for a while that has just gone overlooked, and we can actually fork into it rather than doing what I was about to do and just write this really ugly piece of code that would have not handled as well as just using this. Because this gives us even the item stack to play with. And we already have the can place on sides, so, and then we have our can place at, so we want to get rid of this piece because we don't need this anymore. Because we're going to add implementation for this instead. So we copy this down, and then we want to make sure we pass all of our stuff here. So x dot y dot z dot side dot stack. Placement, that's good. Does it not care for stack? Yeah, I don't think it cares for stack. And then we want to do a can replace. And this would be world x, y, z, side, stack. Create method, iPlacement listener. Okay, we want to get rid of this. We want to move this up. And we just want to return true by default. Okay, so this is what we want to use to actually do our multi-block checks. So, because this will give us a rotation because, well, no, this won't give us a rotation. We're still missing one piece. But we can use this to fix our system. Or can we? So we got a bit of work to still do to make this kind of functional. I'm kind of sort of more or less running out of time here too, because I told somebody I'd be on at 5, even though they're not on TeamSpeak either. I have a feeling they rage quit and are going to yell at me here later. Whatever. This is handled. So we could use that. On place by side. This is going to return true. Return true. Actually, we're missing something here. Where's block base? Okay. On place by side, then calls super that on can be placed by. Super on place by side calls can place block at. So I need to change this to can place block at world x y z. And then we have our can be plus block check, which is then what does super call? Is replaceable basically. Which should return true. All of this should return true. The part we're missing is we need an extra check. So, you know what, let's go copy this real quick. So I'm going to hit Control Z and that's going to get rid of that. And then we'll go ahead and re-put that back in there because I'm going to re-implement that even though I just deleted it. Because I do need that slight extra check. And block base, and we'll go ahead and copy this again even though I just deleted it. Okay, so now we go to our multi-block listener. So we basically want the extra version of this, which has the entity in it. Okay, so I gotta hurry this up. So So what we're doing here is if we are doing our rotation check, we want to run this. But if we did our rotation or doing rotation, we want to skip running it again. But we still want to run it at the can place block check. It's complicated. Where's my item block? I want to make sure I got that code still in there. Yep, it's still in there. So that will work. That'll give us a little better handling here. And then what we want to do here is we want to get our rotation real quick. However, we're going to get our rotation. I need to do some extra math here. Protected. Or not extra math, but you guys get the point. There needs to be a little bit more extra code here. So this will be forge direction. Shorten this down real quick. And then if not, return this. Return get layout direction. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call this from this method here. So we got a can build check, and we're going to change the can build to actually have a separate version which is just designed to pass the structure in. Well, it's going to do more than that because I'm going to have to pass the tile in regard. Actually, you know what? I can't do the tile. So we're going to want to do int x, int y, int z, and then I need to do this here. And that should work because then I can get rid of this part. I don't care about the tile. And then what we want to do is do world x, y, z to get our location, and then you add, of course, okay, that works. So then I can take this whole internal mess here and return can build world, and then it'll be tile.xi, tile.yi, tile.zi, the map, and then offset. There we go. And then there's no errors there, and this should run properly. So now what we want to do is we want to go on both of these, get layout, except on here, we want to get the orientation based off the user. I think block utilities can do this for me. Determine orientation, and then I think I pass an entity. And whatever. Cast. Determine orientation. What? Okay, yeah, that's good. Oh, because I need to do this xi, yi, zi. And we want to go if entity is an instance of entity living. Is that what that actually, is that entity living? That's entity living base. Yeah, because the player and zombies both extend entity living base. Okay. That all looks good. This should work now. So go ahead and run it. Bit of a long video here. Pushing a little bit past my normal time. And unfortunately, I still have more work to do today other than just this. My buddy's going to be pissed at me because I told him like 5 o'clock and it's 5:12 now. Usually the normal plan is to get on at 3, but I woke up late today. Sleep schedules. They're these amazing things that are so fragile that if you just do 1 or 2 things out of order, you screw the whole sleep schedule up. One of these days I'll figure it out. Hopefully. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Just kind of waiting for this to load at this point. But that should work, though. If it crashes, though, I'm just going to call it a day. Because the video is already at 1:15, and we'll just pick up on this tomorrow. Haha! It worked. The multi-blocks didn't place, but it worked. Oh, no, wait, we got one. We're missing one, but that's progress. I can't open the machine because I think the GUI is broken. But that's good enough for me, so we'll pick this up tomorrow.